Good morning. It is 10:01 a.m. on Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone would please stand and join me for our invocation. Holy Father, thank you for the opportunity for all of us to be here today. We need to do this very important work. We thank you for the trust that you placed in us by putting us in positions and the people that put us in these positions. And Lord, especially at this time of year, we just want to take note and just ask that you would make us grateful people, that you would remind us of all of the blessings that we enjoy just by the simple virtue of living where we live. Lord, we ask that you would be with the entire county family today and over the Christmas holidays, that you would protect people that are traveling or at home, and that you would just let it be a time of enjoyment with family, with friends, and just a time of rest and recharge for folks. And Lord, I ask special prayer for wisdom for the members of this court, that you would give us guidance in making decisions, and that, as always, you would give us humility and grace in how we perform our duties. Please be with us, Lord, and please be glorified by everything we do, especially at this time of year. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us for the pledge of the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Everyone may be seated. And thank you to whoever turned those fans on. Yeah. All right, so I know everyone will be disappointed. The presentation that was supposed to happen this morning, we had to push till next week. I know Barry especially likes to listen to me talk as much as possible, so we'll push that to next week. Are there any other presentations this morning? More? Okay. Then it is 10:03. We will open up for public comments. Remind folks that comments need to be limited to 5 minutes, and that the Commissioners Court cannot take action on any item brought up during public comments. Do we have any public comments this morning?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Be mindful and keep our joint band from Legacy and Memorial in your thoughts and prayers as they jet off to Mother England and represent Wichita Falls well at the New Year's Day festivity parade. I'm not sure what exactly it's called, but
Yeah.
but they'll be representing our community as a combined joint band. So very excited to
Very cool.
hear their stories when they come back. So
Yeah, absolutely. Cool opportunity for them and
Very,
for
very
our
cool.
community.
yeah.
I'll make one comment just as a reminder for schedule for the next couple of weeks. Commissioners Court would normally meet this Friday. Obviously, since the courthouse is closed, that will not be happening. We will meet next Tuesday, the 30th, for normal court session. And I think after that point, we're back on a normal schedule for a while. So if you show up here on Friday, well, we wish you good Christmas cheer, but it won't be here. All right, any other public comments this morning? Okay, then it is 10:04 and public comment is closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. There are 9 items on the consent agenda. I need to make a couple of modifications. Item number 5, which is a motion to transfer $46,699.63 from Department 409 to Department 561 salaries and benefits. It's a mystery item. No one knows how it got there or what it was for. And so with that said, is there any objection to taking that one off the consent agenda?
That was a placeholder item that we had discussed on December 8th, and it wasn't necessary because we've recognized the revenue in the previous session, and the funds that were budgeted for positions in 561 out of 409 have already been transferred. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So it was the revenue transfer,
Yes,
but
sir.
we've already taken care of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And Judge, on item 6, jury revenue.
Yeah, so we had budgeted $100,000 for jury revenue, and we have exceeded the amount that we had expected to receive in revenue and to expend for the year. So this is just increasing the revenue and the expense for both the state reimbursement and for
county
Jury
money
expenses.
going into that fund?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on item number 7, this is a motion to approve the Hart Intercivic invoice in the amount of $87.46 for license and support for poll pads. That should say to be paid from Department 490 2026 budgeted funds. That's a purchase happening next year and is for 2026 budgeted funds. Is there any objection to making that change? Okay. Then we've got number 5 has been removed and number 7 has made that 2026 budgeted funds change. Is there any other comment?
Just a quick question on that number 9, is that wire that was need to be pulled from the?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was just curious if that's what that was for.
Conduit's still in good shape. Have they tried to pull it
They
yet?
haven't pulled anything yet. This is just to get the material ordered and get it here before they start working on it. And once we pull it, we'll know exactly what it looks like when it comes out.
If it even pulls.
Yeah. If
That's
it's-
my fear is
Yeah.
that the conduit's collapsed.
You'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right, motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham to approve the consent agenda as amended. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or any of those items?
Judge, will number 9 be completed in 2026, or will that work be completed in 25?
It will be completed in
26.
2026. I checked with the sheriff this morning.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments on those items of the motion? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Takes us to general business, item number 1. Review and approve the regular bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and authorize county treasurer to disperse payroll and or bills within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, electronically, or be picked up and acknowledged by a ledger signature in the treasurer's office.
So moved. Second.
Wow. Well,
I'm
give,
slow.
the tie will go to Commissioner Fincannon because he's closer. All right, so we got a motion by Commissioner Mahler, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon, to approve bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and authorize dispersal of payroll and or bills. Do you have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2, discuss, consider, and or take action to approve and ratify the minutes of the December 16, 2025 regular session.
So moved.
Second.
I think I beat you on that one. Got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon to approve and ratify the minutes of the December 16, 2025 regular session. Have any questions or comments on the motion or the item?
He's a little quicker, he's sitting next to the bright jacket.
That's right. It's, that extra
That speeds it up.
spark you need. Any questions or comments? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3 is discuss, consider, and or take action to approve the addition of an employee assistance program benefit to the county health plan for 2026. I'm going to be asking commissioners to table this one. What it was, I had asked our HR folks to look at any of the extra benefits that were included as part of the TAC health plan that were utilized heavily and that might be good benefits for us to consider adding to our health plan for 2026. This was one of those that was suggested. However, they are trying to get utilization data. It's essentially for counseling services for our employees that might need to take advantage of them. I'd asked for utilization data. Our HR folks asked for it in plenty of time. They're just having a hard time getting a response. So with no data, I don't feel comfortable asking the court to even consider making a decision on it. So that's what that is. We may see it again in early January if we've got the utilization data. Is there any objection to tabling item number 3?
No.
Okay. Morgan, will you go ahead and put it as a placeholder for the 1st January? Okay. All right. With no objection, item number 3 is tabled. Item number 4, discuss, consider, and or take action to amend Department 429 CDA max salaries by eliminating positions 8, 12, and 37 and reallocating those salaries across the positions in the table attached. This is a budget positive amendment while reallocating already budgeted funds for salaries, which is neutral. It gives back 3 benefits packages to the county, which is budget positive. At this time, I will invite Mr. Gillespie, our DA, to lay out the item in the request. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Merry Christmas. I wanted to, before I get started, point out that I like Mark's outfit. I wore a red tie, but yeah, I do think so. I love being in the spirit. I wanted to give some perspective on the challenges facing us that made this agenda request necessary. And I want to point out, I've been DA for, this is completing my 7th year. It feels like 14 sometimes, but I've never ever done this in the entire 7 years that I've been district attorney. So at the budget time this summer, we were down 3 lawyers. The county judge suggested giving back a position. I was violently opposed to that. I had one lawyer who was licensed out of state in Montana who had moved here. I hired him. He was basically doing paralegal type work behind us on the possibility that Texas would license him. They've changed how the bar was from when I was in law school, and so it's basically they do a background check, and so we did that. He was taking care of elderly grandparents at the base, and so I was hopeful he would get licensed, and I also hoped that we'd be able to hire other lawyers. However, I found out in September that Texas would not license him, so we had to part ways. Then in October, I had one young lawyer go to work for a civil firm in Burke Burnett to do transaction work there. And then 2 weeks ago, another young prosecutor is going to the 97th. He grew up in Archer County and he wants to be a prosecutor in Archer. So that brings us down to 5 of our 13 prosecutor positions, and the one that I was counting on with the transfer did not happen. When I initially looked at it, if you look at it as all of our attorney positions, we're down 27.7% of our attorney positions. But we have, thankfully, a fully staffed civil division right now, so if you look at where the impact really is, it's 5 prosecutor positions out of 13, so we're down a staggering 38% of our prosecution positions. They're unfilled. The people that do criminal prosecution in Wichita County, we're down 38% of those. Our last attorney application was March of 2025, 9 months ago. I've been in the DA's office since 2001. I've been doing hiring in the DA's office since 2008. I know what normal hiring is, and I've watched it go from 2008, where we're in the middle of a recession. We had 15 deep on any position that was up, to toward the end of the 2010s. If you were patient, you get applicants you didn't like, that weren't good, but you could still wait and get some good hires, to when I took over in 19, it was getting worse. Then everything kind of froze with COVID, and then after COVID, we've ceased to nearly a trickle, and it's completely abnormal with what I've seen. I did some research before coming to the court. There's a law review article, I think it was by Brigham Young law professor, but it was from last year on the prosecution crisis nationwide, which puts everything between 25 to 33% down. And there's a specific rural prosecution crisis. I think of this as a metro area, but I think we follow that because we're not Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston. So LaDonna regularly reposts our positions to bring them to the top of the list. She'll go in and take them off and then put them back, and she bird dogs that. She does it every couple of months. So when they go to the job bank at TDCA, which is historically where we've hired from, then they see them. Doing that still, we've had not a single applicant. I'm not talking about bad applicants, people you wouldn't even think about bringing into your office. We've had nobody since March. We've had 2 career days at law schools that we signed up for tell us not to come for lack of interest. We hired a search firm with the Commissioner's Court's blessing. When Judge Cossab was leaving our office, I wanted to hire a senior lawyer for that. They did, y'all know the results of that, a nationwide search. They were hitting people that had worked at the DA's office, so it was an incredibly aggressive search. They didn't give me even a single candidate. We had 3 tiers with their fee. There was an initial fee, then there was a second fee if they gave me if I accepted a slate of 5 candidates from them, and then their final payment was that if I accepted those, if I hired somebody and they stayed for 6 months, then they would get get their full fee. They didn't give me anybody, not a slate of candidates, nobody. So they only got the first part of their fee. And they said I think that's the first time in their attempting to do that they hadn't been able to come to some way, and anyway, y'all know the results of that. Since I took office in 2019, I have focused like a laser on lawyer recruitment and retention. We aggressively use our discretionary funds to retain lawyers, and we've been actively doing this. Previously, those of you that were on the court will remember I gave back an investigator position and an attorney position in 19 to help raise lawyer salaries, because I knew that I saw the problem in 19, even though it wasn't where it is today, and was trying to get ahead of that. So I know this is a challenge, and it's something I've been working on, but the developments in the last 6 months are deeply concerning. I do not like asking to give positions back. Y'all will remember the budget, my reaction to that. It's, metaphorically like cutting off an appendage. I've already shrunk the office. I don't like doing that. I wish I could hire for our open positions, and I wish I did not have to be here asking for this. I also believe firmly leadership means dealing with reality as it is, not as you wish things were. And I think also leadership means taking active steps, not just passively hoping things will change. I've been hoping for a long time. I've been taking other steps too, but hoping that things will change. But 38% of our prosecution positions being unmanned is serious. As I looked at it, I was left with two bad alternatives. Come to you out of budget and ask for additional money for our positions to raise. I don't want to do that. I kind of imagine what my response would be, but that was an option that I looked at. Or analyze our additional budget and see if we could reallocate already budgeted salary to address the problem. And I don't like doing the second option because of the position that it puts us in shrinking the office, but I didn't think the first option was viable, and when you're faced with 38%, that was the way that made sense to us. So I gathered my senior attorneys and we worked on this together because I needed buy-in for them. They're the ones carrying a lot of the load along with me and some of our other prosecutors, but I needed it to be a plan that they felt comfortable with. And my goals, I want to be clear, are threefold. One, I want to make our starting salary stand out. I want it to get attention, so hopefully we can get some quality applicants, not just, anime guy that I got one time that you look at his Facebook page and you go, this guy's so freaking weird, I don't want him. I don't want people like that. I want solid applicants to fill our positions. My calculation, to be very frank, is I'd rather be able to hire 3 prosecutors than have 5 positions I get no applicants for. Giving back that amount of salary to the county while the rest of the office does the work and struggles is just not a strategy for success, and it's not tenable. Second, I want the prosecutors who are carrying the extra load to feel well compensated for it. They work a lot, after hours, weekends, and I have to prevent further erosion. Everybody knows when you have staffing issues that when other people are stepping in, they do it, but at some point you reach a point where they're like, this isn't worth it for me. And so that's why I wanted buy-in from my team. We have a wonderful group of prosecutors, and we've had a lot of success this year. I'm proud of the work we do across the board, but I wanted them to feel that way. Third, there's a small investigator component to it. When we decided that this option was made the most sense, it's a significant budget reorganization, and I would be remiss if I did not start planning on addressing the other salary movement in law enforcement locally. I'm trying to get ahead of that with already budgeted funds. Our investigators help offset the workload from being so understaffed with prosecutors. The work this office, the district attorney's office, does is critical. We fight for justice for child sexual abuse victims. We prosecute murders. We battle the fentanyl epidemic locally. We prosecute property crimes, among others. It deeply impacts the public safety of our community. This is a painful sacrifice for our office to make. I've personally taken up a day-to-day caseload in one of our district courts. I did that the first couple of years I was DA, but I have so many other obligations, and I had Staley, Patterson, all the other demands. Y'all know, your public figures, what goes into that. But I looked at it and I'm like, I'm sacrificing not only the budget, but me. I don't know how I'm gonna make all that work, but I have to do it. I'm committed to the success of the office. Even if we are able to hire 3 attorneys and this works, this plan still bakes me into carrying a day-to-day caseload in one of our district courts. And just simply having 38% of prosecution spots vacant must be addressed. Half measures and hope are not a solution. I'm not asking for additional money from the court just to be able to reorganize the budget. Technically, it's budget positive. Because I'm giving back 3 benefits packages, I don't like doing that. But if you're looking at budget impact, it is budget positive from that. And as I said, I have buy-in from my senior leaders at the office. And I think the cost of not doing anything is simply too great. In summary, I'm just asking for y'all to trust me to reallocate already budgeted funds. I'm asking for help in addressing this 38% of unmanned prosecutorial positions. And I believe that my track record with the court, I've never come before the court like this before. And I think that track record that y'all have seen in working with me is deserving of trust with the court. I think y'all know that I am very conservative. I cannot stand coming out of budget cycle for this. If there were anything else, I would do it. But I can't enter the new year without some sort of a way to address this. And when I looked at the unused salary positions that we are not able to use, I was like, well, that is a lever that I have to pull, and so I need to pull that lever. That's where we bring there. I do believe the situation is urgent. So those are my prepared remarks that I wanted to put this in perspective for the court of why I'm taking this extraordinary step and asking for your support in doing this. And if y'all have any questions for me, I'm happy to field them.
So before opening up for questions, I just want to say a couple of things. First, I know that John would like to be just about anywhere else than here for this reason, asking for this, and appreciate you looking for ways to try to get out ahead of the problem and bringing an idea for us to consider. I do want to say a couple things. First, I've met with John, I think 3 different times since this request came out, asking questions. Honestly, the first time making sure that he knew what he was asking because of the way he reacted when we had this discussion during budget last time. I know he had some concerns then. I share them about reducing the number of positions. I also want, just for a larger context, to understand the reason why Commissioner's Court typically recoils at these, well, it's a mid-year budget ask and a change on the max salaries is when we put the budget together and we consider all of the pieces of that, all of those pieces fit together. Every department is its own entity, but they also exist as part of this larger team that is the county. I know y'all know that, but there may be some folks in the public going, well, if it's budget neutral, if it's budget positive, why does the court not like dealing with these? And that's a large part of that piece, because when we're doing the full budget and putting that together, we're putting together a full document where all of those pieces are supposed to fit in line. So then if we're coming in the middle of the year and making a change in one place, it can quickly get those things out of whack. I know that it's a budget neutral change. I don't think the actual impact on spending is going to be neutral, and I am worried about in the long run creating a new floor and a new baseline for salaries, what that's going to do for future budgets, which will be this court's problem, may not be mine past the 27 one, but it's still something that we need to be cognizant of. And so I just wanted to lay out, first of all, thanking John for, I know this is a hard ask, and for taking the time and being willing to come here and do that. I've got some other comments, but I'll save those and let y'all ask questions if you have any of John.
The conundrum that I've come to with this whole deal, and John, I appreciate you reaching out to me and talking to me, that always helps. Okay, if we eliminate those positions, then we've shrunk your department, which is already busy. And if we don't do that, we've shrunk it anyway because you can't hire help. I mean, I'm chasing my tail on that deal, and I know you are too, and that's very frustrating. You can't hire the help for the money that's on the table. We limited your department, not us, but fate has, I guess, no matter what. We're short either way. It's I don't know how you fix that. Judge, you're the, yeah, you're the one.
I'm the one that people said run for DA, it'll be fun, and so it really falls on me, and that's the same conundrum I have. I am absolutely allergic to doing this, but sometimes life presents you with a series of options and you have to choose the least bad of them. And like I said, the calculation I came to is we have this big chunk of budgeted money that's just falling back to the county that y'all have entrusted me with to try to hire, and I don't see that changing. That's why I said, like, hope is not a plan on that. And so I was looking at it and thought, that is something that I could do because of its budget neutrality that would let me, my calculation is if I can hire 3 with it, then I'm better off and I improve the morale of the office than if I go 5 and then go 7 down, 8 down. It is something that's what the urgency of it, of why I thought I needed to take action. So I totally agree with your comments, Barry, and it's something I wrestled with, and I wrestled with it very hard, but I look at the situation that we're in going into 2026, and it's been 9 months since an applicant, and I mean, I was thinking outside the box in hiring a search firm, and when I got nobody that way, it's, the only thing I know is to try to use budgeted salary monies to raise the floor. I would encourage the court, if any other department wants to give back three benefits packages to reorganize their existing budgeted salaries, I'll support that every day of the week, and I'll show up and testify for it. To me, that's the answer when you're talking about the floors. We're taking painful sacrifices because of a unique problem that is confronting prosecution. And I don't like doing it, but I have to be a realist when I look at the options and the situation that we're in.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
What openings on the spreadsheet you gave us, what openings right now are open? Which numbers?
It's the 8, 9, 11, 12, and 16, and then 37, the clerk position.
Okay.
You brought up
9, 11, 12, and 37, 16.
You brought up something during your opening comments that I've got to ask. You brought up the fact that your attorneys are already carrying a bigger load. They're already carrying a bigger load, and you're saying that's why they're leaving. Is that the reason that you're saying they're leaving?
Well, no, I think I covered the reasons that they were leaving. You had one that took the problem with not being able to attract lawyers like we used to be able to do in Wichita County is you also have openings like the civil firm in Burke Burnett that you're well aware of. So when the partner of that firm was desperate for help and reached out to one of my young lawyers, I doubt he's somebody that, he's a great lawyer, but with his level of experience at 19 months at our office, I doubt that opportunity would have opened up for him 10 years ago. But that's the reality of law in Wichita Falls. I don't want to get into specifics, but I'm telling you, it's a serious problem when you have people looking around.
The specifics are kind of what we're here for, though. I mean, I'm not trying to be, we're going to have to get down to the details, and this is going to be some unfun stuff to talk about.
Right. No, I don't mind talking about it, Mickey. My point to you is I thought I gave a pretty lengthy discussion about where they're going. And when you post, there's always been turnover at a DA's office. But when you post and you go 9 months without getting an applicant, I can't fill even normal turnover in a DA's office.
And that's very odd to see no applicants in 9 months. I don't disagree with that. My problem is the people that have left, that I'm aware of that have not all left for more money. That one that just went to the 97 took a $20,000 pay cut, didn't they?
Yes, and because when you have people looking around, I think it makes me very uncomfortable to talk about motivations of lawyers, but I'm telling you, when you look around and you see an office that should be at 19 lawyers, we're at 18 because I've already given back a position, and then we go four down with no ability to hire. People make life decisions based on that sort of thing, and that's those are considerations. That's why I'm here.
John, some years ago, we had a discussion about the supply of attorneys coming into the field, and it was down at that time for some part. Where are we today?
It's gotten worse. The Larvie article I found was 2024, you had basically too many law schools producing too many lawyers in the late 2000s and early 2010s. So we had a glut of lawyers, and then it did what markets do, it self-corrected. Another challenge is COVID. You have this desire for a lot of law lets you work remotely. Prosecution, the article points out, prosecution isn't really something that you can, we've made that work, well, we can make that work, but it's not something we have to be physically.
My reason for bringing that up is, can we look out into the future and see, something different? And
We're almost
so-
at the edge of a wave.
Right.
Mhm. I've seen it go, that's why I tried to give a full picture of it, of what I've seen since 2008, of being able to hire, to needing to be patient, to be able to hire, to, I really don't get very good, I mean, there was a time period, I hired, they're not currently in the office, because when you hire problem employees that you know you shouldn't be hiring, then you get the problems that go with that, to, I don't even get those applicants anymore.
So in your position, in your office, and it's your job to prosecute criminals, what happens when you get backed up? I mean,
And he has to prosecute 100% of the criminals in Wichita
but
County,
and
too.
you're required to do that by law.
Yes,
And I assume there's a time frame, and,
no, we do, and a lot of that, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. That's why I said the situation is significant and serious.
Commissioner McCammon, I think you had some other questions.
I did, I'm just waiting for them to
yeah,
finish.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
If you have currently, you're saying that you have 6 positions open in the office, I'm assuming 5 of those are lawyers?
That's correct.
How many lawyers have left in the last 2 years?
We've had 4 this year, and then the position that I couldn't bring the guy in.
The 4 that have left this year, let's just go with that. Did they all go to bigger cities, more money? Cause that's not what I was told, that people have conversed with me. In your opinion, have they gone to bigger cities for more money?
No.
Okay.
I've never said that they're leaving to go. I thought I covered where they
And
were
here's what
going.
I'm worried about. You said during your opening comment, it was a great, I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying, and I'm very concerned with what you're dealing with.
Mhm.
But if you're already having attorneys leave because they have a bigger load placed on them, and now you wanna realign and put bigger load on your remaining prosecutors, then it just seems to me that you're not changing anything in the office other than putting a bigger load on them and putting a bigger paycheck. That will not be sustainable. You said that in your same comments, that load, so when you raise that bar up, what I'm worried about, you're raising the bar up, you're putting more of a load on them, they're not gonna stay. I've said this up here on the court before, that there's 3 reasons people work at places. So there's evidently something else wrong other than just money, is what I'm getting at. I'm just trying to figure out how to
Nikki,
work with you to help figure that
I
out.
thought I went through the positions and why they left. It's the fact that you get no applicants. It's not a Texas, it's not a Wichita problem, it's not a Texas problem, it's a nationwide problem. The Miami office is down 33% according to our review article that I left. So it's not even just limited to mid-size areas like us, to rural Texas, all of that. It's a nationwide problem.
I have another question, and this maybe you can answer or the judge can answer. Right now, I mean, we also fund the other team, the public defender's office. What are they down in attorneys right now?
I think they're down 1 attorney right now.
They're
But
down 1 attorney.
now, Mick, bear in mind that John's doing 100% of the criminal cases in Wichita
Oh,
County.
I don't disagree with you.
And the public defender's office does a percentage of
80% commission.
80%.
80.
Now, also, does or does not the public defender's office generally work attorneys 10 to 15% less than the DA's office? Is that
I don't know. The
Probably somewhere
caseload
around
of
there.
our prosecutors is massive compared to the caseload of the public defender's office. I'm very uncomfortable. When I ran for office, I pledged that I would stay in my lane and focus on the DA's office. My comments about other offices, I'm looking at a problem that is a prosecution problem that is unique to us, and coming with a solution to reallocate already budgeted funds.
And I'm not trying to
No, I mean,
I'm not trying to hard press you here. I'm trying to understand the picture. And you realize that we pretty much have to discuss this in here.
No,
So I don't wanna.
Well,
I'm not upset with your question. I'm upset with being played off against. You
Yeah.
don't intend to do that.
No, I'm
but-
not playing it off. I'm looking at it from the budget side of it. What's sustainable long term?
and I think that the issue is, John's got his department to take care of. The five of us have to worry about how it all
Everything else,
interacts
yeah.
together. And so I think what John is saying is he can provide you the information for his department, how it affects it. It's our job to put together all of those pieces.
Sure, and one thing I mentioned it in my statement, but a limiting principle, we look for limiting principles in the law. I'm about to argue oral argument on the Staley case in front of the Court of Criminal Appeals. I'm sure to get asked for what's the limiting principle in that. There's a real basic limiting principle. I'm making decisions, I was elected just like y'all were, charged with public safety, and I'm looking at our budget, and I'm coming forward with a solution. I'm not here saying, give me money outside of the budget process. I'm saying, I'm giving you back 3 budgeted positions and making these sacrifices. If other offices want to come and make those requests, then to me, there's a very simple limiting principle to that. What sacrifices can they make in reorganizing that? I don't wish to talk about other offices. I'm charged with public safety in the position that I'm in, but that to me is a very basic limiting principle for the court.
Well, I think we get into two different perspectives here because we're trying to solve the immediate problem or do the best we can. I don't know it'll solve it, but one way to find out is try it. And we're looking at down the road when we sit back down and rewrite the budget. John, how many, is this playing out in DA offices all across the state?
All across
I
the
heard you say that.
All across the state, all across the country.
So this might be something we need to look at from a legislative. That's not gonna solve our problem here today or answer that question, but I'm just saying for future reference, that may be something that we need to look at, that the system is not working for us.
We in the legislature, the cycle before last passed Senate Bill 7, which was targeted to address this, and I appreciate it, but one of the issues they created in that, I'm not being critical, but there's unforeseen consequences. They gave offices our size $275,000. They gave Will Barger the 97th, the office out of Baylor County that has a rural office with 4 counties that have almost no population, and they gave them $175,000. So for the already small pool of prosecutors on any given prosecutor, they can outbid Wichita County on those, and so that in
More
some ways
competition,
there was an unforeseen consequence on that.
And I haven't had a chance to read it through all the way, but this is the report that John's talking about, and I'd be happy to make a copy for
You have a
anyone
scale
who wants to. I mean that seriously.
Yeah,
It's,
seriously. The prosecutor vacancy crisis. So
John-
that tells you there that.
On the asset forfeiture monies that you have and the discretion with those, in your opinion, how much time would this court have in the event that something happened to those that we would have to scramble to keep you whole?
Hey, Jeff, as you know, we've always been on a knife's edge on that with the legislature taking that away. So that's not happened. There was a representative that lost re-election that was pushing for that, and so we got some breathing room on that. But it would, and I try to aggressively use those monies, but I also try to not make my positions dependent on them because it's not a guaranteed source of income. So I would know about it in the legislative session, and then it would probably go into effect September or January.
Well, when we watch, when people watch the 10 o'clock news and you see that you've got something there that could be a capital murder case, the general public says, oh, what a terrible thing in our community, and we say that too, but we're also thinking, oh my, that could be $1 million, and that happens from time to time.
Large burden on the office as well.
I have a question, Jeff, that you brought up there on that. You were saying that we would scramble to have to do on seizure funds. Explain that to me.
Well, what I meant is if John utilizes some forfeiture funds to make positions or enhance a position, and then that fund disappeared, or the use of that fund was in
And that's a good point to bring up. My question then will be to John. Let's just say on a felony prosecutor average, what kind of yearly bonus is there for that seizure fund?
Well, I
Temporary.
can't give bonuses, so I'm prohibited.
Are they're a pay stipend of some sort?
They're salary retention disbursements, and it depends on, I look at the work and what they bring to the office.
Okay. How much money do you have usually to spend a year on an average
I
basis?
mean, y'all approved my budget in January to do that. I usually ask for a larger amount than what I wind up using, and so I've used, I think approaching $100,000 this year off of that, but that's.
That's over your whole department, or is that just over attorneys?
It's the entire office, yes, sir.
So it's used for attorneys, investigators, staff throughout the office?
Yes, sir. When I ran, I pledged to aggressively use that money to try to retain,
And I think that's great.
I've
That's
done
what it's
that.
here for.
Mhm.
I'm
Well, if you go to the electeds conferences, they warn you not to do that because it's a diminishing capacity. I have not had that luxury, so when I outlined the list of steps, that is one lever I've already been pulling because I am very committed to doing the best we can for the citizens and having competent prosecution.
And we have active law enforcement that's trying to bring you those seizures all the time, that's trying to work with your office to get them. My next question is, I wanna address, you've said this whole time what we're short of is attorneys, we're short attorneys. But yet, on your distribution table, you wanna distribute the money throughout the office, not just to the attorneys.
That's.
I'm struggling with that part because we have had no issue retaining any investigator positions.
Sure. And I think when we discuss this, my point's still the same, that this is a massive reorganization of the budget, and when I went that way, this is a very small component of it, it's 3 positions. The court's aware of I mean, you came from the Wichita Falls Police Department, you know how massively they've increased salaries.
And it's hard to be sustainable. And I've actually talked to city staff and city administration about long-term, how they're gonna sustain that kind of pay. It's gonna be a tax increase.
Well,
So
and
that's ultimately what all happens.
then I think you'd be happy with what I'm doing, trying to get ahead of it with already budgeted money. So
If it's
that's what I'm
sustainable.
trying to do. I mean, you asked the reason, that's the reason. Because I don't want any tax increases.
In your current proposal, it'll put investigators making more than the county judge.
I don't set the county judge's salary. I think he's
He is
invaluable.
not happy about
Right.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I mean,
I've got a couple of questions if you.
Yeah, I'm ready.
John, you said that we had a couple of, the last 2 law school ended up calling and canceling this coming there because there was no interest. Did they give any feedback as to if that was a Wichita County specific issue, if it was any type of feedback from that?
I mean, no, but I think it's all of the above. It's the when I graduated from law school, Law and Order was on TV, and prosecution was, people thought, hey, I wanna go to DA's office and I wanna work as a prosecutor and do good. We've had an entire mind shift in law schools about that. I don't agree with it. I'm incredibly conservative and pro Law and Order. But I think you have that feeds, the article talks about that as an issue, and then you have the other issues. I think it's all interrelated there.
What's the difference between a criminal investigator in your office and a criminal investigator in Will's?
They do totally different work. I value his investigators, and like I said, I wanna stay in my lane.
No, I get that, but
I know what my people do. The salary that Mickey mentioned, it's my chief, and he was SWAT, he was dual deputized with the FBI, and he has been instrumental in Patterson, Staley, and the team steps up. We wind up relying on them in preparing our cases, back when we were fully staffed, when I was a felony prosecutor, I largely just had subpoenas served and did most of that myself. That was my history. We've had a complete change in the office under Ty's leadership for that, and they provide incredible support. I value everybody that the sheriff has at his office. I just know what my people do, and I was trying, when I'm doing this large of a reallocation, it's something else I see on the horizon, and I don't want to wind up in the situation Mickey mentioned, so I wanted to use already it's a very tiny component of the overall package to do that.
And I get that. I'm not disputing the job that he does, not at all. Just, I'm trying to understand the difference, because this is gonna come back around in March,
Yeah.
in April.
Our investigators work the cases as they unfold, so when they get, deputy takes a report, it goes to the investigator. And they work the case from that point to the point they're ready to make an arrest, sometimes, afterwards on some of the evidence, then they send everything to the DA's office. That's where our investigators come in at, they issue the warrants. And
What's the basic pay?
they can make corporal pay of $60,000, some change in 2026, it'd be $60,000 and some hundred on top of that.
And the DA investigators primarily, they work with the DA, and anything that they see follow-up that needs to be investigated, they'll do that. They find the witnesses for them, they track them down, they get them lined up for court, they do all the scheduling to get them to court. They gather all the evidence, transport it to and from. I mean, their job's busy, don't get me wrong,
I'm just trying to understand. I don't know the
I'm
difference.
sorry, Mark, I misunderstood
No,
you.
I don't know the difference.
And I want to give you an example that occurs to me on the Patterson case. He had an ex-wife that lived in, I think, Brownsville, one of the border towns, and we couldn't get her talked to, and so Ty and Donnie got in the truck, drove across state, met with the DA's office there. They warned them about what a dangerous area she lived in on the border, basically the barrio, and they wound up going and getting her served so she could come testify here, which wound up being very integral to that case. That's one tiny component. I could tell you 1,000 stories like that. We rely on them all the time, and the more that our prosecutors are doing more, the more they wind up on depending on our investigators. I had an issue, there's a case I'm about to try in January. There were some discovery issues with it that I found. I have all these other things going on, just like y'all do, and I was very concerned. I had 2 investigators that stopped what they were doing. They spent a day and a half sorting through the discovery, so we were comfortable that what we were turning over was correct. There were some things that hadn't been gathered from the PD. They figured that out. We worked with the defense attorney and got them what they need. They do that over and over and over. So it's really an integral part of the team, and you can't separate them from the other issue. It's not my main focus here, but I do see it on the horizon, and I'm trying to get ahead of it.
Judge, can I throw out the budget numbers?
Sure.
Okay. So with the 2.333 million that was originally proposed, we are now looking at $2,309,601. So returning salaries budgeted of $24,356.45. With fringe, that is about $30,000. With the health insurance savings, that would make it about a $60,000 savings with the elimination of those 3 positions.
Matt, that number doesn't, I had the new request at 2,309,601 and the adopted number at 2,309,351.
The one on the worksheet online says 2.333.
Yeah, and I think there were some numbers that were a little different than what we had approved in the budget. That's why we may need to double check that, because obviously it makes a difference if we're doing more on one and less on another. But regardless, I mean, those numbers, we're talking about a $60,000 to $70,000 from a budgeted standpoint.
And Matt, help me understand, indigent defense outside of public defender's office cost us what?
It's costing us about a little under $2 million this year, and it had been costing us a whole lot more in previous years. We were approaching at 1.4 million, and now we're currently sitting a little under 2.
For total or for outside, just for attorney's
For
fees?
total outside attorney fees.
Okay.
Total outside, not including the public defender's office, just outside.
Those big numbers.
So, go ahead, Commissioner.
John, what's position 11?
That's the one that I was mentioning, that I wanted to create a little bit of reserve where I could negotiate or hire, if I have the ability to hire a senior lawyer. That gives me the ability, I might come to y'all and ask to move that to another position depending on where we are. It'd be a very simple thing, but I wanted to build in a little padding.
It's
So
a sizable jump in that position, so it looks very
it's-
lopsided.
No, I just want to be clear, I don't know that I would use all of that. I just thought, if I get depending on what I get, what I post, it would give me some reserve to move that somewhere else or to do that. So I was trying not to box myself in, too much with that.
Can I make a comment?
Just a,
With John being down 5 and he's trying to make more money or get more to hire 3, when they're not prosecuting, our jail fills up. We all know that, and then
Yeah.
our inmate level goes up. We've been through the same process of short jailers, short deputies. They graduate once or twice a year. Lawyers, we graduate from the law school or the peace officer schools about once a year. So we're all fighting for the same number of people, just in different jobs. So I understand some of his problems, and we've come to y'all, I don't know how many times, asking for raises, which helped us maintain, and we're back down to just a single number of open jailers. So
yeah, and
it's
that's
a trickle down effect. When they don't prosecute, we have more people.
That is a good comment, Sheriff. I mean, the challenge for the 5 of us is you have come and asked for raises during the budget cycle.
Yes, sir.
And again, we've talked about it, I understand why this is not evident, but that's what we get paid to deal with, and
I'd like to comment on that.
Yes, sir.
Primarily in the jail and the law enforcement though, when you're losing jailers to Wichita Falls PD, you're losing them for money.
Mhm.
You're losing them to Plano, or you're losing them to,
I'm losing 2 to the PD next week.
and that's for money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason I left the county, was to go to the city for more money. What bothers me is when we're losing people for not money, and then we're putting a bigger load on the people that we have left there. I can see this being a train wreck in a year from now, because we gave pretty substantial raises last year to the DA's office for this reason. And now we're wanting to, a lot of these, we're talking 35 to 67% raises in a percentage base. And that's, I'm just saying, it's different when you're constantly losing people for money. If you're losing people not for money, then you need to figure out the reasons.
Well, but I disagree with the premise of your question respectfully, because we get no applicants. The value of a bar card has shot way up. This recognizes when you have fewer people in the office, the value of the senior lawyers shoots way up. And so that's the situation we're in. And I don't think, I gave you one example of one guy that's going back to his home county for less money, but that's not, I guarantee you, long-term, the guy that went to the civil firm in Burnt Burnett will make a lot more money than he could make at the DA's office. And he's making a career choice on that. So I've never ever said it's not about money. I think there's a whole issue, the law review article sets it out, of with prosecution nationwide. So it's not that, but the added workload, what I'm saying is, the value of the senior lawyers in the office goes up because there's fewer lawyers to be able to hire from and train and all of that. So I respectfully, think that there's some clarification on that.
Well, you already have an increased workload with no way to resolve it at present. That's the problem on the table.
Right, and then if the senior lawyers leave because they could make double in private practice, that they're committed prosecutors and they want to do it, but there's quality of life issues as well in that, and that's why I looked at it, because it's what I said at the beginning. It's not just to try to attract attorneys, but it's also to incentivize. That's why I gathered my senior staff together, because I needed buy-in from them to come to you on this.
I think what Commissioner Fincannon's saying, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is is there something outside of money that we need to be looking at in order to retain attorneys?
I don't know
Or
what,
attract
I don't know what that is. I aggressively use the asset forfeiture funds. I train on a monthly basis in the DA's office. I've trained on, trial strategies, negotiations. We invest in the attorneys, so they're getting pretty high level training that I do intentionally every single month, and I take my time to do that because I want to create a culture in the office of growth. I need to raise up the people quickly, so I need to impart that. That's been part of my vision. It's not, I've never said money is a single lever to it, but it's a full picture there. But that's the lever. When I looked at the urgent situation that's in front of us, that's the lever I have to pull. So,
John, historically, has the DA's office been, this is just not yours, it's in general, but is it a place where typically young attorneys come in, spend a couple of years, and then go on and do other things?
that's correct, Judge. It had always been a 2 to 4 year thing where people get invested in and then they go somewhere else. But that,
It's abnormal then that none of the
yeah,
applicants.
we've had a complete mentality shift where people are either going directly into defense work or directly in practice, and so I don't understand that because I was at a corporate firm for 2 years, and I wanted to move home because I'm from Burnett, and my parents were here. I got to care for my parents, but I also loved prosecution. I didn't know how long I would stay. I didn't realize it would wind up being a calling to me. But I never would have thought right out of law school that I was ready to go take on a caseload. So this was very appealing to me. We've had a complete mind shift in that, and it is very abnormal. That's why I point out too, it's not so much a person leaving to go to a transaction firm in Burke, which is an opportunity I doubt he would have had. When Barney and Bill called me for the same position, I think I was a 5-year lawyer at that time, or maybe 7 with my corporate years. It was 2006, I started in 99. They called, before they brought in Stephen Bickings, they called and asked me to come to that firm. I said, my heart's in prosecution. They were looking for senior level lawyers. They got a good prosecutor, or a good guy, a good lawyer, but he has 19 months of experience. I don't think that would have even been available 10, 15 years ago. So there's a lot of layers to it.
Any other questions for John on this? Okay, John, thank you.
If I can just conclude by saying,
Yeah.
38% is urgent. I'm not asking for additional funds. I'm asking for y'all to reallocate money that's budgeted for us that I'm not currently able to attract attorneys for that. And then I'd also say in 7 years I've never done this, and I think I have a track record with this court, and both with what we've done in the office and what we've done here that is worthy of trust. I don't know that this is the solution, but I know doing nothing is not a solution. And so I would respectfully ask for your support in this. Thank you.
Thank you. My thoughts on this are, I don't think any questions that commissioners or I may be having is related to trust in you. I think the questions are, how does this pebble being thrown into the pond, how does it ripple out and affect the rest of the budget, which is our job to look at. You're coming forth to defend your people and to try to address the problem in your office, which is what you should be doing. That's what voters elect you to do. What they elect us to do is to think through what that's going to do in the long run and how that's going to impact the larger budget structure and what we do, and honestly to try to figure out what the best tools are to give you to meet a challenge and to meet a problem. You can probably tell by the fact that I've asked to meet with you 3 times. I have agonized over this decision because I am legitimately and genuinely concerned about the ripple effect, which makes us my main roles is to be the chief budget officer. So that's one of the things I should be looking at. And I'm not sure, and commissioners, we can always, if y'all feel like y'all want some more time to think on this, we can. If you think you know where you want to be today, we can move forward or not today. And again, if anyone wants some reading over Christmas, you can check it out from my office.
Judge, I'd just like to say that we know that how John comes prepared for budget. He's serious as a heart attack every time he walks into the room. They've thought through their plan. No one, and I know it's been painful to think through this for all of us, and I know John has agonized over it as well, but I don't know what any other options are. I mean, right now we do nothing. We're in the hurt locker. So
Sure.
Yeah, we're still short.
we've
Yeah.
got to move, and I think that as bad as we unlike it, and maybe how it seems distorted, really doesn't seem extremely extorted when I look at what we spend on apparently 20% of indigent defense, $2 million, and we spend $2.3 million on John's office. Doesn't seem out of whack to me at all. That doesn't. And he has always been, and our county family has been, and I attribute that to Judge Johnson, to the fact that they have came forward each and every time and said, hey, I've got a problem. They bring good solutions and say, help us work through this. Here's what I think could work. I mean, we're blessed to have that in our pocket right now that has been so, because it wasn't always that way. And I just, I think that with us not having any other option in front of us, we know their workload is heavy. We know they work hard. I've seen those investigators in the courtroom before and how they have to keep up and funnel to the attorneys. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot going on their Thursdays and Fridays are packed. And so I don't see any alternatives at this point that would make any more sense. Who would have thought that we would have seen the changes in salaries that happened since COVID? We'd never dreamed that would be in front of us like it is, but it's real. I'd shared with John yesterday about a sales rep position in a factory I knew that, and how they related to his money. I mean, these are guys that spent a lot of time in school and put a lot of work on the weekends and after hours to come forward and stay abreast of what's going on. They have no option but to do that. And like Will said, if we don't, we just backlog up in the jail and cost us out the other end. So,
And I'm agreeing with most of what you say, but you can throw money against something and it still failed. Just because you're throwing money doesn't mean nothing. And if you really have a problem with attorneys, then it seemed like you would 100% want to present a plan to the court that addressed attorneys and not dispersing it throughout your department. Because we are talking about attorneys. So,
but there's a table that I have to
there's a
maintain,
table.
Mick.
But with what you're getting at, you brought up public defender. We're spending $2 million for them plus their office.
No, public defender. I'm talking
Public
about
defender.
people that we hire off the
I know what you're
street
talking
to
about.
come
I'm
and.
talking about private attorneys.
Right.
But what you're saying that we spend much more money on that end, and we might spend more money on that end, because it might be because defense hours take longer to do, there's more billing hours in it, couldn't tell you. But our attorneys that we're paying to do the job, I can tell you right now, there are probably 2 or 3 of if I was a public defender, I would just transfer to the DA's office as soon as I got the raises. And then we will also be doing this same thing to try to fix the public defender's office.
There's already a gap, and the gap's gonna get wider.
And
Well, it was,
I think that if you're gonna, if that's the plan, then pick what you need to pick and go with it, but why disperse it throughout the office? That's not what we're, but
Well-
I'm just saying that there's, as me and you've talked about that many times before, the reasons you work somewhere. And now we're gonna put a bigger load on the attorneys that are there. They're gonna get more money, but if they're not happy with the workload they have,
Well,
like
they
John
already have,
said,
they already
they
have an
can-
increased
they
workload
can
because they
go
can't hire anyone.
private
so.
practice and make more money anywhere else. And I don't do, it's just
But
hard for me to,
it's-
this is hard for me to swallow.
It's always been that way though, Nick.
But, I mean, in John can go somewhere and make $500,000 a year.
well, this
He's
is
a great-
easy, this is easy to fix for today, because it's a budget neutral.
Yeah, but it's not,
deal.
it's,
But 6
It's
months
not
from now.
budget.
6 months from now, it's not.
You can't go back, and to me, that's the real problem. I would love to try it and see what this does for us. Does it
I have-
help, does it, yeah, but you're making a long-term
It
decision.
sets a new floor.
Well,
Right.
but
Yeah.
what Barry just said though, I have no problem if we come back to court and John says, hey guys, I have a gold mine of opportunity here to get some, other prosecutors hired. I'm trained to know that that's when I hire them. That when I get good ones knocking on the door, I'm gonna take them. And if he's gotta come back and say, hey, we've gotta fix this problem, it's just like our insurance bill. It's not never gonna go down. It's never gonna go away. And it's only gonna increase. That's the same thing that these salaries and these positions are gonna do from the time we walk out the door. That's what's gonna happen. And in all departments though, in Will's department,
I think I'm not tracking. Are you saying, don't do this, but have a pot of money that he comes to when he finds candidates?
I'm saying that if John has open holes and everybody's got a big workload and he's gave them an increase and he gets somebody good knocking at the door, I don't want him to say, oh, no, we don't need it, because it directly affects, Jim, the money that we spend at the jail. And if John can do a better job and do it faster, all power to him, because that's what we want to happen. And yes, does it cost more money? I'm not got my head in the sand. I know it costs more money. This is not staggering money. This is not something that is astronomical to us. I mean, just look at this court's expenditures on software in the last 6 months. That will choke a goat. But this is not dollars that we can't handle. And
Yeah, even today, but right, yeah, it's,
And there again, I'm not 100% against some attorney raises. Don't like the plan. So,
I'm just gonna look for what the court on this would like to do. We've obviously got still some consternation about this specific plan. I think there's some consternation about the thing as a whole. We want to maybe work with John or ask him to work on the plan a little bit, make some changes and come back, or is that just?
do we need to see, I mean, what
We
are you
also do
thinking
need-
that?
We do need to check out the numbers, because right now, I don't think they agree, but Matt's got different numbers than I do. So it might not be a bad idea to give us a week to figure that out.
Does that hurt you, John, to move?
I've come forward with a plan that addresses a very serious problem that is budget positive, and I need the support. And I'm not trying to be demanding, but this, make no mistake, 38%, this is a public safety issue. And I was trying not to say those things publicly, but it is a public safety issue, and I've come forward with a plan that I, this is hard for me to make as a 24-year prosecutor and a 7-year district attorney, but I'm trying to run a district attorney's office with that level of experience with my people, and it doesn't even, I address the limiting principle principal, I've made sacrifices and I'm making a sacrifice today. And so I really would appreciate the support today because I don't, I've addressed Mickey's concern about the investigator issue. It's a very small component of it. I do not want to take that out because of the situation that we're in. So I really would appreciate the support today because you can't give back 3 budget positions and health insurance and then say that it's anything but budget neutral. And so we studied it, we worked with the auditor's office on the numbers on that. So I would appreciate the support today because the situation is urgent.
Matt, are the numbers correct that we have?
The numbers that I was presented with on here, I've not got a chance to compare those to the 2026 budget. But John is correct in saying that when we did the 2026 budget, we worked with his office and created all those.
But I mean, we're just talking slight difference if they're one way or the other, though.
No, but if we're gonna
This,
take action, we need to make sure our numbers are correct.
yeah.
And Jim, where are you saying that number differs for you?
That's what I'm pulling up.
Are the benefit numbers a fixed number, or do they vary by position?
Well, I mean,
It's a
it depends.
It's a
So
percentage involved.
Health
Yeah.
is set, it's a percentage
Yeah.
on most of the other stuff.
Health
That's
is,
right.
health is,
Yeah.
can vary
Oh, yeah,
depending
because
on
your
if they're elections.
retirement and all would be,
Right,
would
but
be.
your
a movement.
retirement and your FICA and all that's about
Yeah.
23%.
You're right, that's exactly right, okay.
So the positions listed on the agenda quick do not contain all positions of the office. So that's why you're going to have a variance between what was approved in the 2026 budget and what is presented. The total amount approved in the 2026 budget was $3,000,000.05. So this is just a snapshot of those positions.
It's the positions affected by
Right.
the
Right.
organization.
Yep.
Matt, the positions that I have that were approved in the budget adds up to 3.071.
Say that number again.
3.071.
Okay.
Why don't we recess for 10 minutes so that not everyone's waiting for Matt and I to do Excel spreadsheet hunting. I've got 11:15. Let's recess until 11:25 and Matt and I can get our two numbers together and figure out what we're working with. So we stand recess till 11:25.
back from New York.
This warm weather and this moisture is really
Cue the Jeopardy music.
It'd be Christmas Jeopardy.
There you go.
Really mess things up if someone figured out how to change the internet clock.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be bad.
it wouldn't be that bad. Cody's sitting there contemplating it. He's like, nah, we can fix it.
He just did it, actually.
I mean, right. Clocks changed at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good philosophical question.
Yeah. Would time have really changed, or?
And we are back from recess. Just for the court's edification, Matt and I got our spreadsheets together, and there was a $250 difference that needed to be resolved if, on the proposal, if the court is going to move forward with it. And so position 11 in the proposal is gonna go down $250, so it will now be $144,000. That resolves the difference and gets it back in line with the current approved max salaries. I'm gonna do something a little different here, and give, because of the recess, because of the lengthy debate, and allow if there's any commissioners who wish to say anything else at this point, and then I'll close and we'll see what happens. Does anyone wish to say anything else?
I'll say one quick thing. I wish you would modify that plan, but if you don't wish to, then I'm good with going forward.
I appreciate you so much, Mickey, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. John, I know this is not something that you wanted to ask. As you know, I've talked about, I'm worried about the long-term ramifications of it in the budget. But quite honestly, I'm just as worried about if something doesn't change to lead to more attorneys coming into your office. I'm worried for you, and I'm worried for the office and its ability to function.
Judge, I make a motion, we accept the plan with the note that you had on the 200.
And I'll second the motion.
After much debate.
All right. We've got a motion by Commissioner Mahler, seconded by Commissioner Watts, to approve the change in the Department 429 max salaries by eliminating positions 8 to 12 and 37 and reallocating those salaries across the positions in the table that is part of the backup documents, with the modification that position 11 is reduced by $250. All right, a lot of discussion. Are there any questions or comments on the motion or the item?
We beat it up about as much as we can.
Yep, all right. Then that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Then the motion carries, 4 ayes, 1 nay. All right. Thank you, John. Item number 5, you don't have to leave, but.
I need to leave, but I wanted to say I appreciate y'all for the support and hearing me out and the vigorous debate. It's not a decision I reached lightly, but I appreciate the court so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, which has now come to be my favorite part of every commissioner's court. Discuss, consider, and or take action on issuing a county burn ban. Mr. Birkenhoff, tell us what has happened in the last week.
Well, not a lot has changed in the last week. Visited with all the fire chiefs this morning on the phone. Everybody's still where we need to be as far as the numbers. Like I said, the KDVI's 478 this morning is up 1 from yesterday. So Wilbarger County is still at 588. We have all discussed that the last couple, 2 or 3 weeks about kind of what's going on there, I guess. It's just a little drier that way, and everything's moving this way. It's just taking a little bit longer than we kind of
It's
anticipated.
all those big fans, they got drying everything.
Yeah, no, keeping everything out dry out there, so. Like Commissioner Mahler said this morning, there was a lot of dew on the ground. I know I've had to tell about my house, so.
We had a sprinkle, I think.
Sounds like it's raining.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from, but
So,
it was there. Well received.
definitely a lot drier conditions in the next, over the holiday weekend here, or Christmas Eve, and into the weekend. Of course, we got a cold front coming Sunday, it's supposed to drop the temperatures, but the wind's supposed to pick up, so, there's not a lot of moisture in the forecast of what we're seeing as of right now. Like I said, the general consensus was about what it was. They wanna allow the people that wanna do their burning. I know that a lot of people are doing a lot of more grubbing right now, trying to get things done for crops and that type of stuff, for the pastures and all that, and cattle raising for the spring, I guess. So, they were kinda hoping we'd kinda hold off again, just to let them get that done, whatever they need to do, so it's,
So what you're saying is, wait another week and talk about it
wait another
again.
week. Just like I said, let it, see what this rest of the week's supposed to do, and over the weekend, kinda see where we're at, and like I said, come back Tuesday, it may have a different story, but as of right now, they're kinda hoping that the court would allow them to have another week to look at it and see where we're at, so.
We do appreciate people paying attention.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, and like I said,
And that's what a burn ban is really about,
Yes.
is to realize that we've got a problem and, pay attention. I think the public's doing a good job on that, that's good.
like I said, the controlled burn people are doing a very good job of taking care of what they need to, making sure everything's prepped and all that, and then like I said, the welding folks, the few that have started them have realized what they did wrong, and I think they're anticipating not burning or welding when it's windy and having a spotter and all that stuff, so. But like I said, natural causes, Mother Nature, that type of stuff, electrical lines you can't predict when those are gonna fall down, or from not real good
Yeah.
equipment out in certain areas, so, that's just the chance any of us take for that part, so.
Okay. Is court good with, taking no action and talking again next week?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you.
Enjoy Christmas.
Thank you.
Don't, grass fires and emergencies take a Christmas break too?
It'd be nice if it would, but we know how that goes.
All right. Thank you, sir. Item number 6 is receive update on courthouse renovations and county courthouse annexes.
Really nothing new to report other than what we talked about last week. The security project's still moving, so.
And for the Burke Annex project,
Get your
the
bids in.
RFQ is up on the website. Get your bids in.
I had a call this morning, wanting to know when it was gonna be put out. And I was like, it was put out weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's promptly jumping on it now.
Well, Mick, does Tana send some stuff out to different people that have bid in the past? How does that work?
On this one, unless they had reached out to say they were
Okay.
interested in it after watching court, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I know I had one person reach out and she sent that along, so. Okay, well,
Merry
it is
Christmas.
11:32 and the court would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Court is adjourned.